Both, some guys were a little bit banged up. Some guys we got pretty locked in roles for already. And we're just there's only so many reps out there. And we want to make sure the guys that are taking the reps have the great opportunity to kind of make the most of it so we can get roles understood here as we head into game week. So that was the idea of any guys that played limited reps that were dressed. It was our decision and just making sure we're maximizing the reps that we have with the guys that we need to have so we can make the right decisions on personnel.
Hey, Coach. So earlier in camp, Coach Norvell mentioned that the best athletes have to be coached the hardest, and that specifically Travis Jay is really starting to embrace that. Does it seem to you like he's beginning to put it all together as you head into the season?
I think Travis is improved. He's been more consistent on the practice field. He's been healthy, which has helped it. I think that's a big part of it. So, Travis has always been a very skilled player, but he was on and off the field a lot, didn't practice very much. And when you don't practice, it's hard to develop habits, physical habits and mental habits, and just the understanding of how it's got to be done and when it's got to be done. And, the talent from a standpoint of athletically has always been there, but he's consistently been on the field throughout camp, which has helped in his development for sure, and somebody we're counting on here in the next couple of weeks.
Chris, me?
Hey, Adam, through 2 weeks and two scrimmages, who are some of the young guys that have kind of shown you that they possibly can contribute, definitely help this defense, at least give you valued reps?
Young guys, Chris, that weren't here last year, you're saying? Yeah, so, let's start with the guys that came in the mid-year. Kevin Knowles all he's done is played really hard and made the plays that have come his way. Kevin's he played corner tonight, so he's done a nice job. And then early on, start with the front. Patrick Payton has shown some flashes. Been excited about that. We put George Wilson in there some this tonight, just in some sub packages to try to get his athleticism on the field. Hunter Washington has shown a lot of grit and toughness. Freshman corner that's kind of taken some lumps, but he definitely he's got a really strong amount of grit to him. Shaheem Brown has flashed. We're asking him to do a lot of things. We're not limiting things when he's in to try to force the development, because the physical development is there, the confidence is there. So those are some of the guys that are getting to work. Marion Cooper is just, he missed some early parts of camp, but what we've seen early from him, we've been excited about. Those are the newcomers.
Ira?
I know you guys have been mixing and matching a lot of the linebackers through the first 2 weeks. How did that group perform tonight? And are you guys figuring out like who plays best with each other, or kind of what's that process?
Yeah, so we're playing with some 2 linebacker systems, some 3 linebacker systems, some 1 linebacker systems. We're trying to get it all ready. And I think Amari has come along, and we're trying to put him in the right situations to make sure that he can rush the passer when we need him to rush the passer. He can play man coverage when we need him to do that. He can play inside the box. So he's getting those reps. DJ Lundy has really taken some strides this year. I thought he had some really natural football to him last year. He played meaningful snaps last year, but then got banged up and really, again, missed some practice time. And it seemed like he was playing more in games than he was in practice. That's never good for a freshman. But I've liked the way he's come along. So that group's coming. I think Kalen DeLoach is somebody that's probably made the most strides from where it was at the end of last year to where it is now. So there's been some stock up especially with DJ and Kalen in their play as of late.
Aslan?
Coach, if you could maybe just talk a little bit about how you feel Dennis Briggs has done, maybe from a disruptive standpoint, and Fabian Lovett, is there a big onus on him to, I don't know, set the tempo or establish sort of an identity for your front four?
Yeah, I think Fabian is definitely, you feel some ownership from him with how the defensive line performs. Fabian's definitely in the best shape I've ever seen him. His body looks great. He's playing faster. He's playing more consistent pad level, which allows him to play longer and throughout the down and more throughout the series. You know, Dennis, we all know the story. Like, you know, last year he came back in the Carolina game and, you know, he barely practiced, but, you know, we put him at defensive tackle and he just didn't have the training to play inside very much last year, but that's where he belongs. I mean, he's a disruptive, long, athletic 3 technique. And we're seeing that throughout camp. You know, that's exactly where he's supposed to play. That's what his body type is. That's his mentality. He's created a mindset that that's what he is. And so I like Dennis. I think Dennis has a great upside. And, you know, this is a huge year. I think if our D-line, in order for our D-line to play well, you know, Dennis Briggs has to play at an extremely high level. He's a very important piece to that front. And when the money's on the line right now, he's going to be in the action. And we're going to count on him to be able to make the plays that are necessary at that position.
Ira?
Just following up on Travis Jay, is he, you know, last year, I know you guys played him in multiple positions and it was tough for him because he was a young guy. How much more comfortable is he at that now? Or do you think you guys will end up locking in on a home for him?
Yeah, we put Travis at corner. That was a position, that was something we made a decision fairly early in camp to try and develop some consistency for him. You know, I think the corners have to be your most competitive one-on-one players. They got to be athletic enough to win the one-on-ones out there. And he fit all those bills. And, you know, it gave us a chance to just hone in on him playing that position. You know, and that's the direction we went. And I think it's felt right the last week and a half, you know, seeing him out there. And, you know, I think he's developed a real good relationship with Jarvis, and those two have been working with each other. But, you know, that's the position move we made, and I'm feeling really confident about it. And Travis is definitely taking some really good steps to be a really good one-on-one defender.
Aslan?
Coach Norvell talked about Jarrett Jackson's a guy he thought that could be an X factor. I don't know, like, what X factor means to you. Is that something you'd classify as Jarrett, or how would you size up his performance this preseason?
I think just what, you know, not to speak for Coach Norvell, but, you know, when we say Jarrett Jackson's X factor, like, I think, you know, we're counting on Fabian, Dennis, and then Coop to be, you know, good football players and guys that can play a lot of snaps. You know, Jarrett's got the size and athleticism that he should be with that group. You know, he's a little bit younger. He hasn't played much football. He missed a lot of last year. But when you just watch him when he's fresh, I mean, he flashes and he plays, you know, he's so big and he's got good athleticism to him. He was a high school defensive end, and his body is just taking shape in a different way. But he belongs with those guys from a size and athleticism standpoint. It's just the consistency of the grit and the toughness that it takes to play in the A and B gaps. And, you know, I think Jarrett's got a bright future, but, you know, he is a little bit behind those guys. So by saying he's the X factor, just if he can take that next step, it develops that depth that you need up front.
Gene Warchant?
Hey, Adam, I'm curious, with you guys moving into game prep starting in a few days here, how important it is to get that depth chart, that first, second teams, and move into that role? Or is that something you're just going to continue to tweak basically all the way up to those final couple days?
No, Gee, I mean, you want to lock in your defensive unit, right? You want to say this is our group, and this package is our group in that package, right? These are your roles. Within that, you're going to have some flexibility, right? I mean, guys get better, guys get hurt. There's some movement, but you got to structure it. You know, during camp across the country, you're saying, you know, one base and certain guys run on. The next day, different guys run on. There's not much, I don't want to say understanding, but like there's still competition and guys are constantly moving. When you get in a game rep, your ones get reps, your twos, you know, in a 12 play period, you know, you're getting 3 reps with this group, 3 reps with that group, 3 reps with another group. Like you're kind of splitting up the reps a little bit more in a way where ones and twos are getting the same amount of reps, the threes drop off. So setting those depth charts they're happening. I mean, that was the point tonight, you know, when we break camp, you know, going into Tuesday, like there's going to be some good on good where we're going to mix some people, but when we get going to the Notre Dame prep, like when we say one group, like that's the group that comes and twos go in. And then when you get some sub packages, maybe the depth charts change a little bit specifically to the skills, but it gets set. And I think it needs to be set so guys understand roles and they can understand what they need to be prepared to do.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.